What does it take for your business to create truly remarkable experiences for your customers? It's all about investing in the right areas. Guided by 3 words beginning with M, your planning and evaluation of customer experience efforts become as easy as this. Meaningful. Does it impact the customer in a direct and personal way that is meaningful to them specifically? Meaningful experiences go beyond the transaction and touch your customers on an emotional level. They make your customers feel good about doing business with your company. Next, is it meaningful enough to be memorable? Just because an experience is meaningful doesn't mean that it will stand out in your customer's mind. You need to determine if the customer will remember the experience an hour, a day, a week, a month later, because only memorable experiences have the potential to impact loyalty and retention. Think about it. If they don't even remember the experience, there is no way it can impact how they feel about your company. And finally, is it measurable? Can you gauge the effectiveness in a way that measures the impact? Whether you use quantitative data like retention rates, revenue increases, and customer satisfaction, or qualitative data like voice of the customer and open-ended comments, it must be insightful, shareable, and actionable. Our customer experience budgets are limited. We must be able to prove the value of our investments. What happens after you create meaningful, memorable, and measurable experiences again and again? Customers return for your top-notch care and become advocates who not only believe in your products, services, and brand, but who'll share their positive feelings with others, friends, family, acquaintances, social media networks, and more. Today's most successful companies have learned it's not enough to just reach customers with relevant content. Creating meaningful and memorable experiences and being able to tie them to business measures is the key to creating passionate advocates and achieving long-term business success. One example of a company that does this exceedingly well is the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz is renowned for its luxury hotels and where staff members deliver unmatched experiences and customer service. But did you know the Ritz-Carlton conceptualizes the brand's image and the ambiance of each of their locations through something they call the Ritz-Carlton Mystique? The Mystique is created through an ingrained performance culture that mandates every employee notices, cares, thinks, and acts with a true focus on what makes each customer stay special and unique to them. Take a tip from the Ritz-Carlton's playbook and look at where you want to be versus where you are today in terms of creating meaningful, memorable, and measurable customer experiences. Capitalize on the meaningful and the memorable, and you'll have plenty of positive results to measure. When this becomes the way you do business every day, word gets out. You'll be the company with the unmatchable customer experience. good listener. No, really, are you? You might think you are because you stay silent while they're talking, nod your head and say, mm-hmm, and repeat back word for word what you heard them say. This has been standard management advice on good listening for ages. But what if I told you that following these tips could leave the listener feeling unheard or even dismissed? The truth is that mastering the art of listening involves a whole host of other skills. You need to do more. In this video, you'll learn techniques that will help you in both professional and personal relationships. Are you ready to be not just a good listener, but a great one? Let's get started. The first step, after putting away all distractions like cell phones and laptops, is to recognize that listening is an active, non-competitive, two-way interaction. Authors Jack Zenger and Joseph Folkman write that we shouldn't be passive, like a sponge, merely absorbing information. Instead, we need to be active listeners, like a trampoline, giving the speaker's thoughts height, acceleration, energy, and amplification. But how do you become a so-called trampoline listener? First, it's important to ask yourself, how do I usually listen? Maybe you're typically task-oriented, focused on efficiency, or analytical, aiming to analyze problems from a neutral perspective, or relational, building connections and responding emotionally, or critical, perhaps judging both the content and the speaker. You may, out of habit, default to one of these styles in most situations. But if you then ask yourself, why do I need to listen right now? You may realize that a different mode, or a combination of modes, is better suited for this moment. Is a family member in need of emotional support, or a coworker hoping for an honest critique? Reflecting on the goals of each conversation, what you want and what the speaker needs, will help you determine the best way to listen. This question can also remind us to listen without an agenda, so we can process what the other person is saying without formulating a response. At some point in the conversation, you'll likely have to share your perspective, but for now, take in what they have to say without thinking about what you'll say next. Another question to ask is, who is the focus of attention in the conversation? Sharing your own personal stories can establish connection and validation, but you don't want to steer the conversation away from the speaker in a way that makes them feel dismissed or unheard. Also, you can ask, what am I missing? Remember, good listening is much more than nodding, saying mm-hmm, and parroting back what you heard the person say. In reality, speaking up and asking good questions signals to the speaker that not only have you heard what they said, but you understood it enough to want more information. It can also profoundly change the conversation if you pay attention to verbal and nonverbal cues that may reveal that the speaker has more to say than what appears at face value. They may be uncertain about sharing vulnerability, or they may not even realize that they're expressing unexamined emotions. Asking questions based on what may have been left unsaid can show the other person that you are listening deeply. It can make them feel supported and lead to insight for both of you. Here's an example. An employee tells you, I'm worried about my presentation for the board meeting. You might try to naturally reassure and relate by saying something like, oh, you're gonna be great. It took me years before I could present without being nervous. Unfortunately, while you're attempting to make a connection here, that kind of response can actually dismiss their concerns without inviting further detail. It ignores what might be an important issue underlying their statement and switches the focus to you. To show that you're listening in a deeper way, you can say something like, I was nervous when I started presenting too. What's worrying you? Big difference, right? When trying to be a better listener, another good question to ask yourself is, am I getting in my own way? All too often, we prevent ourselves from being able to listen deeply because of our own insecurities or head trips. We might be emotionally uncomfortable or worry about how confident and prepared we seem to the other person. With practice, quieting that internal monologue will leave space to actually hear what's being said by the other person.
So far, we've been talking about how anyone can be a better listener. But if you're a senior leader where much more is at stake, good listening is an imperative skill. It's wise to ask, am I in an information bubble? Many leaders find themselves in those information bubbles because employees are afraid of questioning, challenging, second-guessing, or disappointing them. They may spin information in a positive light to avoid tough conversations with leadership. As Kevin Scherer, former CEO and chairman of Amgen, said, if you walk around and see a bunch of smiling faces and say, gee, everybody looks happy to me, you're not listening. Leaders must develop the discipline to listen purely for comprehension, without judgment, agenda, or distraction, and actively seek input from all levels and ranks. Also, creating an atmosphere that prioritizes trust over hierarchy means anybody can feel comfortable sharing information, whether it's good or bad. Okay, let's review. Most conversations would benefit if we could be active, supportive, trampoline listeners instead of passive information sponges. To do this, you can ask yourself, how do I usually listen? Reflecting on your default listening style can help you assess how to improve your listening skills. Why do I need to listen right now? Thinking about what the other person might need from your conversation can provide clues as to how you can best listen at that moment. Who is the focus of attention in the conversation? Be careful sharing your own experiences in an attempt to connect. You don't want to steer the conversation away from what the speaker is trying to say. What am I missing? Ask good questions, not only about what is said, but what may be left unsaid. Am I getting in my own way? Be careful not to let your own internal monologue prevent you from truly being able to listen deeply. And for our current and future senior leaders out there, ask, am I in an information bubble? Practice listening purely for comprehension, and create an environment where employees have opportunities to share feedback and feel comfortable doing so. Thanks for watching.
Hi, this is Jocko.
And I'm Dan.
And what we're going to do today is we're going to role play in front of you something to test your salespeople on. And we call it the hospital play. Now, in this case, I'm going to ask Dan, who acts like the SDR. Dan, you're the SDR.
Okay.
And you have to set a meeting with me. I need you to set a meeting with me. This is the goal, okay?
Okay.
It's the sell the pen that you have seen in the movie. You need to set a meeting with me.
Okay.
Okay. That's the goal. Can you do that?
I'm ready.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be the receiver. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this with an exercise called ring ring.
Okay.
Ring ring, as it reflects, the phone goes off and I'm picking up. Ready? Ring ring, this is Jocko.
Hey Jocko, this is Dan. How's it going?
I'm good. How about yourself, Dan?
I'm doing well. Hey, I was hoping that I could talk to you.
Excuse me, Dan. I'm on my way to the hospital.
Oh, well, can I just call you back later?
Yeah, why did you call me? Never. Okay, so in this case, I'm not going to take that meeting. Why? I'm on my way to the hospital, okay? Now, he's calling me, and what are you not doing now? What do you think you're not doing?
I'm not really caring that you're going to the hospital because I'm just trying to get that meeting.
Because I pushed you to set that
Yes.
meeting, which was the key of this exercise.
That's how I get paid, Jocko.
Exactly. How much do you get paid per meeting?
Exactly. I don't know.
$50 per meeting, right? And so what you now need to do is you need to learn how to have a conversation with me.
Okay.
And so if I say something, you're actually actively listening. Dan is actively listening what I'm saying and corresponding with that message. So in this case, we're going to start over again. Ring ring, this is Jocko.
Jocko, hey, this is Dan from Acme Incorporated. I was hoping that I could set up
Dan, I'm sorry. Buddy, I'm on my way to the hospital.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Is everything okay?
Yeah, no, everything is okay. I'm just picking up my wife.
Oh, okay. Well, let you get back to picking up your wife. I'll give you a call next Tuesday morning to see if I can catch you at a better time. Does that work for you?
That works for me. Okay, better. Why? Dan actually listened to what I said and he responded. Now, there was one more thing. I went to pick up my wife, so we can even go a little further. Are you ready for that one?
Yes.
Ring ring, this is Jocko.
Hey, Jocko, this is Dan from Acme Incorporated. The reason for my call is that
Dan, I'm sorry, but buddy, you catch me on my way to the hospital right now.
Oh no, is everything okay?
Yeah, thank you for asking. No, everything okay. I'm just picking up my wife.
Oh, okay. Is your wife okay?
Yeah, no. Honestly, she's fine too. That's nice of you to ask.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear everything is fine. The reason for my call is I wanted to spend some time to get our calendars synced up to see if this could be a good fit. May I call you back Tuesday morning?
Tuesday morning would be fine. Greatly appreciate for you understanding the situation. Now you see, Dan now actually listened to what I said and continued on that. That active listening and building on it, that is what we're looking for in delivering the skill set. This can be used as an excellent role play during the interview of one of your salespeople or prospective salespeople who have to do outbound calling. This is a great tool to use as a test. Is this person capable of having a conversation? Anything you'd like to add to that?
That's amazing.
First there was PlayStation, aka PS1. Then there's PS2, PS3, and now PS4. And that makes sense. You'd think after Xbox, there'd be Xbox 2. But no. Next came Xbox 360. And now, after 360, comes Xbox One. Why one? Maybe that's how many seconds of thought they put into naming it.
Can you get the butter, please?
However, with the Xbox One, I can control my entire entertainment system using voice commands. Up until now, I've had to use Leonard.
Then get the other one. Pass the butter.
Hang on. I don't feel like you're taking this dilemma seriously.
Fine, Sheldon. You have my undivided attention.
Okay, now, the PS4 is more angular and sleek looking.
No way!
It's true. But the larger size of the Xbox One may keep it from overheating.
You wouldn't want your gaming system to overheat?
No, you absolutely would not. And furthermore, the Xbox One now comes with a Kinect included.
Included?
Yes. Not sold separately. Although the PS4 uses cool new GDDR5 RAM, while the Xbox One is still using the conventional DDR3 memory.
Why would they still be using DDR3? Are they nuts?
See, that's what I thought. But then they go and throw in an ES RAM buffer.
Whoa, wait a second. Who's they?
The Xbox.
You're kidding!
No, I am not. And this ES RAM buffer should totally bridge the 100 gigabit per second bandwidth gap between the two RAM types.
This is a nightmare. How will you ever make a decision?
See, I don't know. What should I do?
Please pass the butter!
Hey, so customer service is a big part of many different jobs in many different industries. Customer service is important not only if you are a customer service representative, and every moment that you spend with your customers or your clients is an opportunity for you to make them feel special and to create an amazing experience. And your choice of language or your choice of words reflects how much you care about and value your customers. So in today's lesson, we are learning 20 very useful phrases for customer service. First off, let's have a look at some phrases for getting your conversation started with your customer or your client. Now, two of the most common phrases that I'm sure you have heard and probably used if you work in customer service are, "How can I help you?" or "Is there anything I can help you with today?" How can I help you? Or is there anything I can help you with today? Now, these two phrases are very common, as I said, and they're kind of the essential foundation of a conversation with a customer. These questions can be asked in a shop or on the phone if you are providing a service or if you are selling a product. If you're talking to a customer and you work in retail, for instance, it's very common to ask, how can I help you today? Or is there anything I can help you with today? Another great phrase is, thank you so much for waiting. Thank you so much for waiting, or thank you for your patience. Now, this one is common when your customer has been in line waiting to speak to you, or when they have been on hold on the phone. You always want to thank them for waiting, okay? People don't like waiting for things. Unfortunately, people are kind of impatient by nature. When you start your conversation by thanking them for waiting or thanking them for their patience, it just sets a positive tone for the rest of the conversation. Another question you might ask early on in your conversation is there anything else I can help you with? Is there anything else I can help you with today? Okay, and this one is useful for when you have answered your customer or client's question, and then you want to make sure that you've done the maximum you can. You can ask, is there anything else I can do for you? Or is there anything else I can help you with today? Next, let's look at some phrases for when you have to apologize to a customer. Now, there's lots of different reasons and situations in which you might have to apologize to a customer. Perhaps you made a mistake, perhaps someone else made a mistake. Perhaps your customer just had a bad experience, all right? So it's not necessarily that you've done something wrong and you have to say sorry. There are different situations in which apologizing is appropriate, professional, and expected. And when it comes to apologizing, you want to make sure that you are putting yourself in the customer's shoes. Even if you are apologizing on behalf of your company or on behalf of someone else. So instead of simply saying, I'm sorry, try putting yourself in your customer's shoes, trying to understand how they feel, and you can use a combination of any of these phrases. I apologize for something. Now, instead of saying, I apologize if you're upset, you want to apologize for something that you actually believe happened. And your choice of words is important, and this is an example. I or we apologize for something. For instance, I apologize for the mistake or for the mix-up. Now, mix-up is just another way of saying mistake. Something was mixed up, a mistake was made, okay? I apologize for the mix-up, or I apologize for the mistake. As I mentioned, your choice of words is important. So instead of saying, I apologize if there was a mistake or if someone made a mistake, you want to be careful here and you want to say, I apologize for something, okay? Even if the mistake was not made by you and you're not 100% sure that a mistake was made, by saying, I apologize for this happening, it makes the customer feel like you believe them and that you think that their problem is important, that this mistake is important. Whereas, I apologize if a mistake was made, sounds like it gives the impression that you kind of doubt that a mistake was made, or maybe a mistake wasn't really made, but if so, I'm sorry. Instead, you want to sound more sure of your apology, okay? So be careful with your prepositions here. So I apologize for the mistake. You can also use we instead of I if you're apologizing on behalf of your team, your department, or your company. I apologize, or we apologize for the oversight. Now, oversight is a mistake that is made when someone forgets to do something or essentially overlooks something. That's kind of a synonym, okay? Something is supposed to be done and the person responsible just forgot to do it, okay? That's an oversight. I apologize for the confusion or for the misunderstanding. I apologize for the confusion or the misunderstanding. Now, this phrase focuses more on the fact that there was a miscommunication or a misunderstanding instead of whose fault it was, okay? Instead of, I apologize that my colleague didn't explain that properly, or I apologize that you didn't understand. That's not the best choice of words. It's kind of putting the blame on someone else. Instead, you just want to focus on the fact that there was a misunderstanding and you want to apologize for that, and then go ahead and shift your focus to finding a solution. And I apologize for the inconvenience. I apologize for the inconvenience. This is a good one to use if your customer has been waiting a long time or they've experienced any inconvenience that they shouldn't have. Next, some useful phrases for solving a problem that your customer might have. First up, let's find a solution for you. Let's find a solution for you. This is a nice phrase because it sounds collaborative. It sounds like you and the customer or client could be working together to find a solution, or you and your colleagues and your team could be working together to find a solution for your customer. So this is a nice one for after you have listened to the issue, you've listened to the problem, you've taken the time to gather all the information you need, make sure you understand the facts, and then you want to come up with a positive response and say, all right, let's find a solution for you. Another option, I will look into that right away. I will look into that right away. Now, look into is a nice phrasal verb to know. Look into just means to investigate something further or get some more information about something. Next, here's what we can do to resolve this issue. Here's what we can do to resolve this issue, okay? So if your customer has faced a problem or an issue and you have a solution to present to them, this is a great phrase to start the presentation of your solution or the steps that you might need to take. Thank you for bringing this up, or thank you for letting me know. Thank you for bringing this up, or thank you for letting me know. This is a really nice one for when a customer or client has come to you with an issue, with a problem, or with a concern. You can start your response by thanking them for telling you, first of all. A lot of customers nowadays do not come to you with their concerns. Instead, they stay quiet, they say everything is okay, act like everything is okay, and then go online and leave a bad review. And a lot of people or businesses are surprised because they never had the opportunity to provide a solution, all right? So this is a lovely one. Next, let's look at some phrases for showing or expressing empathy. Now, empathy is the ability to understand how someone else is feeling. You put yourself in someone else's position and understand what they are experiencing or what they are going through. Now, it's important to empathize with your customers and with your clients because this shows that you value them, you care about them, and it also helps to calm them down if they are upset about something. Once you are able to empathize with your customers, it puts them in the right mindset to solve any problems. When you show empathy to your customers, it helps to get them into the right mindset to be open to solving a problem. So a good phrase for expressing empathy would be, I completely understand how, adjective, this must be for you. I completely understand how frustrating this must be for you. I completely understand how difficult this must be for you. A lot of times when you have a customer who's upset, they want to be heard and understood. That is a very first step to delivering good customer service, is to listen and to understand the issue that your customer is coming to you with, all right? Another option is, I understand this situation has been difficult and I will do everything I can to help you, or I will do everything I can to solve it. Now, this is a good one for a customer who has been facing an ongoing issue or an ongoing challenge, and maybe you are not the first person that they've spoken to. So they're becoming more and more frustrated, and you want to empathize with them and actually try to take the steps to solve the problem. Another nice one is, I will do my best to help you with this. I will do my best to help you with this. Or if you want to be a little more formal, you could use the word assist instead of help. I'll do my best to assist you with this. Or, I understand your concern. I understand your concern. Let's see what we can do for you. I understand your concern. Let's see what we can do. Next is, I would be happy to verb that for you. I would be happy to check that for you. I would be happy to do that for you. I would be happy to arrange that for you. And finally, I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your patience. This is a very simple but effective phrase because when you acknowledge the fact that someone has had to be patient and has actually been patient, it really does mean a lot. It helps your customer to realize that you actually care about them, that they are valuable to you, and it puts them in a more positive state of mind. They're going to be more receptive to you and receptive to what you are saying to them. Now, with all of these phrases, you can use them in combination with each other. You can also adjust how formal you are. Depending on where you live, where you work, the culture of your company, the culture of your location, you will have to adjust your level of formality. Also keep in mind that when you are speaking on behalf of your company or your team, you can use the pronoun we. And if you are speaking on behalf of yourself, of course, you can use I. Now be careful with this one because sometimes when you're speaking to someone face to face, it's a one-to-one conversation and you keep saying we, and there's no one else there. It can seem a little bit impersonal and kind of like you're deflecting and you're putting the attention, on a group of people who isn't even there. So just be careful with this one. Now, it's also a good idea to use contractions and shorter sentences or shorter versions of these sentences when you are speaking to someone. You can use more formal and longer versions of these sentences if you happen to be writing an email to a customer, for instance. Remember that spoken English and written English are not the same. So you want to make sure that you are adjusting the phrase to best fit the situation.
You enter the break room at work to find your friend and coworker sitting at a table. Her arms are crossed, her facial expression is unpleasant, and her body language screams, "Don't come any closer." You do what any good colleague would do and ask, "Is everything okay?" She responds that she's fine, but the way she says it and how she looks tells you that she's anything but fine. Have you ever heard the saying, "It's not what you say, it's how you say it"? That basically means that regardless of the words that come out of your mouth, the way you deliver them is a lot more important. Tone of voice, inflection, volume, and pace of speech are that much more important when you're speaking to someone over the phone. Because they cannot see you, customers will make judgments about your attitude, your willingness to help, and even your personality based on the way in which you speak. Psychologist and professor Dr. Albert Mehrabian understood the importance of how we use our voices. He created the 7-38-55 rule, which states, in part, that when communicating with 100% success, the actual words used, 7%, are not as important as the way we say something, 38%, or our body language, 55%. In this lesson, we're going to talk more about tone of voice, volume, pace, and inflection in a call center environment. Tone of voice is all about the attitude behind what you're saying. Your voice doesn't change, but the way you speak to someone does. If you're angry, you may be curt. If you're happy, your voice may ooze joy. Regardless, customer service professionals have a duty to put their personal feelings behind them and use a tone of voice that is friendly, sincere, and professional for all callers. This is what keeps customers calm and engaged. But how do you accomplish this? First, use positive language. That means eliminating words and phrases like "we can't" and "you need to" from your vocabulary, and focusing on phrases like "I can" and "we will." Second, remember you are talking to another human being. You are not a robot and shouldn't sound like one, even if you have a script to follow. Sincerity and empathy sound like, "Let me see what I can do to fix your problem, Mr. Jones." Think about how you would want to be spoken to in the same situation. Third, keep it casual and friendly, but assess each situation separately. An irate customer might view your casual nature as an insult to their problems. Friendliness, however, never goes out of style. Remember that your inflection, the natural rise and fall in your voice, shows your customer that you're listening and engaged in their problem. Your tone of voice should rise and fall naturally, as if you're talking to a friend. This is important in helping to place importance on certain terms or ideas. If you need a refresher on improving your own tone, Remember that engaged listening and being genuine in your desire to help are good places to start. Smiling, even though customers cannot see you, can also positively impact your mood and tone. If things get tense, take a moment to breathe, which can calm you and keep your tone even and consistent. No one wants to be yelled at, and the volume with which you speak to someone can either calm a situation or inflame it. It can be difficult to refrain from raising your own voice if the customer is speaking loudly out of frustration. However, did you know you can control the conversation simply by the volume you use? Speaking in lower tones can help calm a frustrated customer and bring their own volume down, which helps you stay in control of the conversation. Lower tones and moderate volume also help convey that you're taking their problem seriously. Vary the volume of your voice to convey importance or draw attention to a particular point. Contrast in your volume helps you to maintain the interest of the customer at the end of the line. Maybe you are naturally soft-spoken. Handling customer concerns may require you to elevate your voice's volume. Otherwise, customers may think you're uninterested or disengaged from their concerns. Have you ever met someone who talked so fast you couldn't understand them? It's important to pace your speech, even if you are naturally inclined to talk quickly. Speaking too quickly may have your customer thinking you don't take their concerns seriously, or may frustrate them if they're unable to keep up. Speak at a rate that allows customers to understand what you're saying, not too fast or too slow. If you focus on clearly enunciating everything you say, your pace will naturally slow to a rhythm that is comfortable for the listener. You can slightly vary your speed if you need to draw attention to something important, with slower speech, or if you need to keep the conversation flowing, with faster speech. Pay special attention to punctuation of the script in front of you. Commas, periods, and other marks inject natural pauses into written text that can be used to help regulate your rate of speech. Tone of voice, inflection, volume, and pace all play important roles in handling customer service inquiries. Your tone of voice should be friendly, professional, and sincere to keep a customer engaged. Improving your tone can be as simple as smiling, taking a deep breath, and approaching a call with a genuine desire to help. Volume is also important since lower tones can keep a customer calm and convey you're taking their problem seriously. Varying your volume and inflection can also help convey meaning of a particularly important point and keep the customer interested in what you're saying. Pacing your rate of speech can be achieved through careful enunciation and slowing down or speeding up as the conversation warrants. Using punctuation and written materials as a guide can help you perfect your pace.